Hello everyone, I am Dr. Meenu Sharma and I am delighted to welcome you to today's lecture on drama and overview. I know drama might sound like just another topic in your syllabus, but trust me, it is so much more. Drama is an alive art and it is available in the stories we tell, the performance we watch, and even the way we express ourselves every day. So let's take a look what we are going to learn in today's session. So let's take a look what we are going to learn in today's session. So we are going to explore what drama really is and why it has fascinated audiences for centuries. Also how it is different from other genres. Then we are going to trace its origin and development so far. Together, we also break down the essential elements of drama, the literary elements like plot, character, dialogue, theme, conflict, music, and spectacle, and try to see how all these elements together shape every performance. After that, we are going to peek behind the curtain at the technical and performance element and see how these elements together bring a play to life, and also we are going to reflect on how drama act as both a mirror of society and a powerful tool for learning as well. One important thing to remember here that this lecture is just an overview to give you the big picture. In the upcoming classes, we'll dive into each section in detail and with lots of example and discussion, and I think this session definitely going to make your understanding stronger about drama. Now let's begin today's session with a simple question that comes to your mind. What comes to your mind when you hear the word drama? Is it a heated argument, a gripping movie, or perhaps a stage performance with dazzling lights and powerful emotion? Well, drama is all of that and even much more. So basically, the word drama comes from the Greek word dran, which means to do or to act. And that's the essence of drama. It is all about action. So drama is both a literary and performing art form because it tells a story not just through words on a page but through live performances, through movement, through dialogue and emotions. And all these elements are specifically designed to be experienced by an audience. You can think of a play like Hamlet or a street performance in your local market. You will notice that the script may be written, but the magic happens when it's brought to life on stage. Now, the next important question is why does drama matter? Why do we study it? So let's explore this question through the four key reasons I have mentioned here. The first one, drama builds empathy. How? Because drama allows us to step into someone else's shoes whenever we watch a character struggle, celebrate, or make difficult choices. We begin to understand perspective beyond our own perspective. And I think it's a powerful tool for emotional education. Secondly, I think drama also explores the human conflict and emotion. Because at its core, drama is all about conflict. Whether it is the internal like guilt or desire or external like war or betrayal, drama always dive deep into human psyche. It doesn't shy away from complexity. In fact, it embraces that complexity. The third reason is drama creates a shared communal experience. As we all know, drama is because meant to be performed, and that means it is meant to be shared with other people. Whether in a grand theater or a small classroom, drama brings people together. Why? Because it creates a space where stories unfold in real time and audience respond with laughter, tear, or even silence. Another important reason I found here is drama prompts reflection on societal issues. From ancient Greek tragedies to modern political plays, drama has always been a mirror to society. And it not only entertain, but I feel it raises important questions also. Questions like what is justice, who hold power, what does it mean to be free. So drama doesn't just entertain, but it provoke thought. So as we move forward to this lecture series on specifically drama, I invite you to see drama not just as a performance, but as a lens. A lens, why? Because it is a kind of way to understand people, society, and in fact ourselves. And to have a better understanding of drama as a genre, let's do a comparison that how drama as a literary form differs from novel and poetry. So we can notice that each of these genre has its own language, rhythm, and audience experience. But drama, what is unique about drama? Let's explore how it is different from other genre. Let's start with the novel. So novel basically rely on narrative description. Usually the author sets the scene, describe the surroundings, often take us deep into character's mind. We hear their thoughts, feel their emotion, and understand their motivation, even before they act. So, a novel, you can say it's a kind of a solitary experience. You read alone, imagining the world in your head, and the novel speaks to you directly, one on one. So, you can think of a novel like a diary or a letter. Why? Because it's intimate, introspective, and layered with the internal monologue. Poetry, on the other hand, we found it it is all about that concentrated language, because it compresses the emotions, thought, and imagery into a kind of rhythm and sound. In poetry here, every words matter, every pose is deliberate. Although poetry is often read aloud, but it is not unnecessarily performed. It is an embodied speech, but not in the same way as drama. Drama takes that poetic intensity and give it a kind of physical form through actors, movement, and even staging. In fact, many great plays, especially those classical ones, were actually written in verse. And Shakespeare plays also. For example, all of Shakespeare's plays were poetic dramas. They are a kind of a blend of the density of poetry with the immediacy of performance. Now let's contrast it with drama. So drama is built on dialogue and action. There is no narrator telling us what a character feels. We learn everything from what they say and do. And often what they don't say, the subtext, is just as important as the other things. Another important thing is drama is a collective experience. Although it is written into script first, but it is written to be performed, not to read silently. The audience watches together, they react together, and somewhere become the part of that moment. You can imagine a stage, the lights are dim, and a character walks in and speaks. There is no backstory handed to you. You must interpret everything from the words, gesture, and even the silences. So drama basically demands the presence of spectator. It unfolds live, and you will notice that no two performances are ever the same. And this is the quality that makes drama truly distinct. It is all about that live immediacy. Drama happens now, it's never the same twice. The actor, the audiences, the space all shape the experience altogether. So drama is not just words on a page, but it is an embodied language. It's movement, emotion, and interaction. So it's a shared movement that disappears as soon as it ends. On the other side, novel or poems are different because they are not just drama, like novels and poetry not just describe the life, but it enact it. Now let's begin our journey of origin of drama, and let's start with the Greek drama, which is being called the birthplace of Western theatre. Imagine Athens 2000 years ago, where drama wasn't just entertainment. It was part of a religious festival, civic life, and even the community identity. So plays were performed in huge open air amphitheater with thousands of people watching together. So Greek drama grew out of the rituals of Dionysus, the god of wine and fertility, and each performances were choral songs like dithyrambs, which slowly developed into structured plays. Chorus, as you all know, was a group of people wearing masks who sang and chanted verse while performing dance-like movements at religious festivals. And choral performances continued to dominate the early plays until the time of Aeschylus, 4th or 5th or 4th century BC. And he added a second character and reduced the chorus from the initial 50 to 12 performers. On the other side, Sophocles also add a new flavor to drama by added a third actor, and he increased the chorus to 15. If we talk about the chorus in Greek comedies used 24 performers for a chorus. If we talk about the different types of drama in Greek era, we had tragedy, which basically focused on fate, suffering, and moral choices. And that tragic hero, the main hero, he often had a hamartia, or you can say the fatal flaw, which actually lead to the downfall of that person. And on the other side, we have comedy, and comedy used satire to mock politics and society. For example, we can see Aristophanes wrote comedies such as Lysistrata, which humorously protested the war. If we talk about the performance style, actors wore masks to play multiple roles and to show their emotions. The theme was, as we already discussed, human versus divine will, justice, pride, destiny. And these were all the questions that still feel relevant even today. So we can say that Greek drama gave us the foundation of theatre in terms of tragedy and comedy. They give us complex plot and timeless themes. So for Greek people, it wasn't just art, but it was a way for society to reflect on itself. And that's the reason that even today, when we watch a play or film, we are still following the patterns that set by the Greek dramatist. After Greek drama, now let's take a quick detour into Roman drama. The Romans were basically great admirers of Greek culture, and when it come to theatre, they borrowed heavily from the Greeks. But they also added their own flavor. Let's understand how. If Greek drama was all about the philosophy and the fate, Roman drama was more about the spectacle and the entertainment. Roman plays had a far-reaching influences on the English drama, about which we are going to learn in the next section. And Roman plays were usually staged in large amphitheatre, and sometimes alongside those gladiatorial shows and public festivals. You can imagine a mix of serious theatre and mass entertainment, and that was exactly Rome. They loved the stroke characters and exaggerated gesture, and this quality made play easy to follow for the huge crowd. If we talk about the three important playwrights of Roman times, they were Plautus, who wrote lively comedies full of those mistaken identities and clever slaves. His plays were basically you can call them the ancestor of today's Bollywood double role films. Another famous playwright was Terence, and he refined the language and gave a moral depth to the comedy. His plays were more polished, and they were almost like literature for the educated audiences. If we focus on tragedy, there were Seneca. There were tragedies written by Seneca with all those philosophical themes, and these plays often talk about the revenge and the power. And the work of Seneca have influenced the Renaissance writer, including, in fact, the Elizabethan writer like Shakespeare. So, Roman drama often explored the theme of family conflict, morality, and power struggles. But above all, it was designed to entertain the masses. To understand in present setting, think of a Bollywood masala film. It has comedy, drama, music, spectacle, all rolled into one. So Roman plays worked in a similar way. Their main objective was to keep the audience engaged with the humor, emotion, and that visual excitement. So we can understand that although Roman drama may not have been as philosophically deep as Greek tragedy, but it played a huge role in shaping theatre as a form of popular entertainment. And remember that many of the comic devices that we see in today's films and stage plays, for instance, the mistaken identity, exaggerated villains, witty servant, they go all the way back to Plautus and Terence. Traditions of Greece, Rome, drama took on a very different shape in medieval Europe. For people of the Middle Ages, the church was the beginning and end of their life. Why? Because church provide them shelter, and it provides shelter for the homeless and bread for the hungry people. So church was not just a home of God, but it was also a place for learning, and a place, you can say, a center of art. So medieval drama, if we focus, it grew out of those church rituals. Priests and monks began performing short scenes to explain biblical stories, and especially during the services. Just imagine a town square filled with people, not for entertainment alone, but the main objective was to learn religious stories and moral lessons. In this period, drama was closely tied to the church, and in fact, it became a tool for teaching faith and ethics. There were three main type of play were famous during this era, and the first one was mystery plays. So these plays dramatized story for the Bible, from the Bible, like creation of Noah's Ark, the life of Christ. They were all called mystery because they dealt with the divine mysteries. The second type is miracle plays, and they were also medieval drama that depicts the lives, miracles, and martyrdom of saints. So the purpose of miracle plays was to blend the religious devotion with theatrical storytelling. The third category was quite famous during that era, was morality play. As the name suggests itself, these plays taught lessons about virtue and sin. And the characters were always symbolic, like every man, good deeds, or wise, and so on and so forth. If you talk about the performance spaces, plays moved from church interiors to town squares and marketplaces so that the ordinary people can watch them. The purpose was to making them accessible to ordinary people. These sets were simple, but costumes were symbolic. And the whole focus was on teaching and moral instruction, not on a spectacle. The theme of religion, ethics, salvation, and the struggle between good and evil were main themes. So we can say that medieval drama wasn't about entertainment in the modern sense, but it was more about the education, morality, and community learning. These plays prepared the ground for the later theatre, including the Renaissance stage, where drama became more artistic and human centered. Now let's step into Elizabethan England, a golden age of theatre. This was the time when drama moved beyond church squares and became a thriving public entertainment. Just imagine a playhouse like the Globe and filled with lots of people, nobles, merchants, and commoners. And they all were watching the same play together. Because theatre shifted to these playhouses, the Globe, the Rose, and the theatre, they all were iconic spaces. They were open air with a thrust stage and audience standing quite close to these actors. If we talk about the playwrights, Shakespeare needs no introduction, and he gave us timeless tragedies, comedies, and even histories. His plays have explored all the important themes like human ambition, love, betrayal, power, and they are still relevant today. Another big name was Christopher Marlowe, and he wrote those intense tragedies like Dr. Faustus. Dr. Faustus is about a man who sells his soul for knowledge. So, a lot of plays were created during this age. That's why it's been called the golden age of theatre. In comedy, we had Bain Johnson, who specialized in satirical comedy, because he poked fun at greed and hypocrisy. Elizabethan plays used rich imageries, the soliloquies, and the poetic language. Another important characteristic of Elizabethan theatre is that the sceneries was minimal. The audience had to imagine the setting through words, but the important part was of spectacle was the costume, because the costumes were always very elaborate. And another most characteristic feature of Elizabethan theatre was that theatre was for everyone. Nobles sat in galleries while the commoners stood in the pit, but everyone was there. It was open for everyone. And the crowd was lively, sometimes quite noisy, that actors had to hold their attention. To understand it, you can think of a college fest where students from all classes gather to watch a play. Some of them cheer, some laugh, some even interrupt. And that's exactly how Elizabethan audience behave. Theatre was interactive and full of energy. And Elizabethan theatre gave us not only Shakespeare, but a whole culture of drama that shaped the modern theatre, or you can say uh, even Indian cinema. It was a space. Elizabethan theatre was that space where language, performance, and society come together. And that's the reason that these plays were both artistic and popular as well. Now let's look at modern theatre worldwide. By the 19th and 20th century, theatre broke away from classical rules and started experimenting with realism, symbolism, and even absurdism. The focus shifted to the social, psychological, and even existential themes. There were different types of play quite popular during this period, and the first category can be the realism. And these realistic plays showed everyday life with with those authentic dialogues and realistic sets. On the other side, absurd theatre writers like Samuel Beckett, who wrote that Waiting for Godot, he questioned the meaning and existence. Then we have epic theatre, Bertolt Brecht, who wrote Mother Courage. He used drama to make audience think critically about the society. So we can understand that modern theatre was not only about the entertainment, but it's more about thought provoking. The features of modern plays were quite interesting. They use those minimal set, as you can see on the screen itself. Uh, they use those fragmented dialogues and non-linear plots, because because modern theater is actually breaking the traditional storytelling. The theme of these plays were identity, power, inequality, even the existential questions. So it can be said that modern theatre is bold and experimental, and it asks us to question the society. Not only society, but the identity, even the meaning of life itself. This theatre shows that drama can be both artistic and thought provoking at the same time, because modern theatre basically pushing the audience beyond their comfort zone. Now let's turn to American theatre. American theatre, which rose strongly in the 20th century, and unlike earlier tradition that focused on kings, gods, or moral lessons, American plays often dealt with ordinary people. They talk about family struggle, the question of race, identity, and the most importantly, American dream. So, theater became a way to explore what it means to live in modern America. And you will see that many of these themes feels very familiar when we look at Bollywood films, or you can say in present time OTT series, because they also focus on similar themes. The American drama highlights all these important themes like identity, race, family, and social justice. In fact, it reflects the diversity and tensions of American society. Some of the famous dramatists were like Arthur Miller, who's known best for Death of a Salesman. And this play shows the tragedy of a common man and how he has been crushed by ambition and disillusionment. Another name, it can be Tennessee Williams. That how his plays explore fragile emotion and psychological realism. Then we have Lauren Hansberry and August Wilson, who explore different themes throughout their career. And if we talk about the style, American theatre blend that Broadway spectacle with that off-Broadway realism. So we found a combination of spectacle and the realism. Although some plays are quite grand and musical, on the other side, some are intimate and socially critical. So in fact, these plays give voice to all those group who often ignored in earlier theater, like the working class, women, African American. So this quality of American drama make drama more inclusive and socially aware. So American theater is not just about entertainment, it's more about telling the stories of real people. It shows us that drama can be a mirror of society and capturing both dreams and disappointed men. And when we connect it to Bollywood films or OTT series, we realize that these themes were universal, whether in Broadway, Hollywood, or Indian cinema. Drama always reflect the human condition. So after discussing the origin of drama, let's take a cursory view of the elements of drama. As I already mentioned that this lecture is just an overview, we are going to discuss all the elements, whether literary, technical, or performance, in detail in our upcoming classes. So as you can see, we have these six main literary elements, and they are largely based on Aristotle's Poetics. The first one is plot, character, theme, or you can say conflict, dialogues, setting, and finally spectacle. We also are going to add setting in literary element. Now let's shift our focus to what makes a play come alive on stage, and that is the technical and performance elements. So these elements are basically behind the scene tools, or you can say on stage techniques that transform a written script into a powerful theatrical experience. You just think of a college fest performance. Even if the script is strong, without proper lighting or costume or the expressive acting, I think the impact is lost. So here you can understand that technical elements are more like that canvas and paint, and performance elements are those brush strokes that bring the picture to life. And now let's understand what are the main types of drama we have. So as we all know, drama is like a mirror of life, but it reflects different shades depending on the lens we use. So each type of drama, you can say, capture a unique aspect of human experience, whether it is sorrow, laughter, or you can say the realism or the fantasy. So here you can see that we have these main types of drama. We have tragedy, comedy, tragicomedy, farce, melodrama, and absurd drama, or you can say social drama also. So from tragedy to comedy, from farce to social drama, each type is connected, and together they form a spectrum of human experience. So this lecture, today's overview lecture, is just a big picture. In the upcoming lectures, we'll dive deeper into each type, and we are going to explore examples and discussion that make them vivid and memorable. So let's quickly look back at what we have covered in today's lecture. So we have started by asking the big question, what is drama? And we saw that it is not just a story but a way of acting out life itself. It combines the dialogue, action, and even emotion to form, to act life on a stage. From there, we traced drama's journey through history, from you can say the rituals of ancient Greece to Roman spectacles, medieval religious plays, and the excitement of Elizabethan theatre. Finally, we reached to the experiments of modern drama. We also broke down the elements of drama, the literary side with the plot and character, and we have also looked at the performance and technical element. And finally, we took an overview of the types of drama like tragedy, comedy, farce, um melodrama, and each showing a different shade of human experience. So, in short, today we have built the foundation, meaning we have find out the meaning, history, elements, and types of drama. In the next lecture, we'll dive deeper into each of these with example that connect to classical tradition to modern performances. So thank you for listening. I'll see you in our next lecture, where we are going to dive deeper into elements of drama in detail with lots of example. Until then, keep learning, and goodbye for now.